Is Trump a Russian spy? Is Putin in charge of U.S. policy? Okay, so that's what we're speaking about right now, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. Trump is doing a lot of things that no U.S. president have ever done, and I don't see how this is going to work out. I'm hoping that it does, but I definitely, I don't see how it's going to work out because this goes against just us supporting freedom. We're not. It doesn't seem like we're supporting freedom anymore. We're supporting fascism. We're saying that Ukraine. I mean, Russia should be rewarded for going in and actually you know, invading Ukraine. One thing about the French President Macron, he's the way he spoke up. He spoke up and said, "Hey, we shouldn't pay Russia. I mean, Ukraine shouldn't have to pay. Russia should pay because they're the one that it went in and they're the one that invaded." All right, man. I'm gonna tell you something. When you listen to these world leaders, all right, and I know you guys don't like Trudeau. Trudeau, he stood up, and I'm not saying I'm a fan of Trudeau, but I'm a fan of the fact that he was able to stand up for what's right. Okay, you look at Macron. You look at Merz. Merz was just elected on Saturday, I believe, Germany. Pretty much, he's saying that we have to distance ourselves from the U.S. Pretty much, this policy right now, and guys, I want you guys to understand something here. You know, if the EU and Germany, okay, and Germany's the biggest member of EU, okay, guys. So they're the biggest, largest member of EU. If the EU and Germany saying that they have to distance themselves from the US. And Canada is now talking to China about some deals, all right, because they have to find other partners. All right. And Mexico is now forced to do that. Guys, these are some of the same policies we did in Africa when we left the African nations alone and China went in there and pretty much got all the mineral rights and everything else with some really bad deals. You know, when Trump is gone in 4 years, hopefully gone in 4 years, all right, because when he's gone in 4 years, how do we repair these relationships? Or do we just stay out there on an island by ourselves? Because if you think that, oh, we form an alliance with Russia, that means that we have to go along with everything that they're doing. And Russia doesn't want to see us succeed. Russia wants to see us fail. Okay, that's just like, hell. If you're a backup quarterback, you're like, yeah, he said, rah, but you want to get in, you want to get in the game. You want to be the guy. Okay, and so Russia wants to see us fail. And so, what are we doing? We're not respecting NATO. We're not respecting EU. We're not respecting Mexico. We're not respecting Canada. What are we doing, folks? What are we doing? Pretty much, our country is going to be left out there by ourselves. So, anyone wants to jump in, feel free to jump in. I heard someone came off mic. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just want to
yeah,
ask. I just always like to ask a quick question. You said, we're not respecting these countries. Have they respected us?
Okay, next question. Who's that? Who else was about to jump in? Who was that? Who
uh,
else?
this is just Scott. I just want to
You guys
share
go.
something that I've heard from talking to people overseas, right, in different countries. I've heard this from a Canadian. I've heard this from someone in Denmark, and I've heard this from someone in India, all within the last week or last 2 weeks. And I really want the people here who are liberals and the people here who are conservatives to really think about this fully. And that is, all three of them said the same thing to me, and that is, last time you guys elected Trump, it was different. But this time, you elected him, and he has all these different pieces of your government, right? They don't really know. They don't really know the pieces because they're foreigners, right? He said he's every piece of government. So don't say you don't agree with him because you elected him. You did that, right? So I mean, it's a very different attitude out there today, guys. I mean, we will not, we won't be able to say like, oh, we're a republic, we're an experiment in democracy, which has like been America's line for the last 250 years. No, they're like, you chose him and you chose everybody here, and you better stand by him because that's who we believe you are now. So these alliances are not going to be easily repaired. It's not going to be easily repaired. These are permanent changes that are happening today, and they will affect our children. That's what's going to happen. I
Bro,
will
you act
land.
like you dropped a bomb or you dropped the mic or
Yeah,
something
bro.
like that. Like, like come on, bro.
Come
Facts,
on,
bro.
come
Like, you
on,
know what I'm
bro.
saying?
Hold
Let,
on
let me.
one second,
Uh,
I
right?
want to
One
jump
yeah,
second.
in. I
yeah.
want to jump in
Th-
a minute.
The LS, the LS. That's a new voice. Let's go,
Let's get
Big
LS.
All
mic
right,
drop.
go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna say one thing, Skull, and I know me and you know that. You're an economist. Do you think something has to do with the 36 trillion? Because let's be real, right? For economics, when everything's going right in America, so to speak, domestically, we're not as concerned about DoD budgets or any budgets. And I'm not saying Trump's doing everything right. Let me be very, very clear. Wrong. But do you think that's the game on an asymmetric warfare playing field?
Yeah, I mean, well, that is the thing, right? And you look at that 36 billion, and we talked about this in other shows, right?
No, I
Where
mean 36 trillion. Trillion.
yeah,
Let's
sorry,
be clear.
36
So,
trillion. But we look at that, right? And we've talked about this in other shows where I said, well, I think Doge is doing things a little fast. But I always use the word a little, and I always said they're being a little fast, not too fast. Because, if you just look at the math of this, by 2030, we are going to have the majority of our budget is going to be used to pay down our debt. So we have to make some pretty rapid changes, or else we're just going to be paying off our credit card, right? That's going to be our entire tax bill. It's going to be paying off our freaking credit card on a national level. So
Ask the question.
we do have to make some big changes quickly,
Wait.
and but I don't know how this political policy is going to actually help
Oh,
us.
okay.